Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our Entitled Parents. In today's episode, entitled brother gives my expensive gluten/lactose/ sugar-free cake to my spoiled niece. Entitled mom thinks it's okay to let her current husband drive her son's car bought by his dad while the son rides the bus. My mom stole my shit. EM and EGM tried to kill residents of group home. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled brother gives my expensive gluten/lactose/ sugar-free cake to my spoiled niece. My brother Martin, M36, and his wife Leah, F32, have a daughter, F5, Ivy. I have huge problem with food. I am lactose and gluten intolerant, and also I am on diet because I have diabetes. Well, we celebrated my grandpa's, M75, B-Day last weekend, and the party included small family circle about 12 people. My grandma cooked lunch and I baked cake and prepared some snack. I also prepared small plate of food for myself, and my mom brought me one portion gluten/lactose/sugar-free cake. So we had a lunch and we put the snack on the table and started to cut the cake, and I set mine on plate aside. We were talking, laughing, and Ivy was running around the table and picking everything she wanted. She was picking from my plate of stuff suitable for me, so I took it aside and where she couldn't reach it. She forgot it quite quickly. Well, the problem started when she noticed my cake has small rows on the top. So she took a fork and started to eat it. I told her I can cut her own piece of cake from my grandpa's cake, but she wanted mine. I told her she cannot have it, and she ran away crying, and went to league. Leah came to me and asked me if I could give her the cake, and I explained why I couldn't do it. I went to the toilet, and when I came back I found Ivy sitting on my brother's lap and him feeding her my cake. I was fuming and told him, she ate my only piece of cake, and I have almost nothing left. I was pissed because I told them no and eat to the kitchen. Leah followed me and told me to stop making drama out of piece of cake, and that I'm and up the party. She also told me she saw me taking my plate away from Ivy, and that I am selfish jerk. Entitled mom thinks it's okay to let her current husband drive her son's car bought by his dad while the son rides the bus. My ex-husband called my phone fussing at me. He recently bought our son a brand new Benz for his birthday and as a graduation present. My current husband had to get to work, so I told him to take my son's car because I had a couple of things to take care of and needed the Antifa today. He ended up dropping my son off at practice and told him to call me when he was done with practice so I can go pick him up. I overslept and missed my son's call to come and pick him up. My son called his dad, but his dad was out of town, so he ended up taking the city bus. This man called me fussing saying, I bought a car for my son, not some grown-ass man. I didn't like my son taking the bus. This is why I got him a car, am paying the insurance on it and making the car payments. I hung up on him. Am I wrong for letting my current husband use my son's car? My mom stole my shit. 3 years ago my girlfriend's sister gave me at the time a very popular book as a Christmas present. In the first week of reading the book I lost it, and every time we meet up she always asks the same question. How did you enjoy the book? Which is always awkward to answer. Some days ago I found this book out of the blue and thought myself very lucky. I started reading it and brought it to work to read in my off time. Yesterday my mom enters my room bewildered asking if I have seen her book. Apparently she took the book without thinking in the slightest how it got there, and has apparently sold my book online. I'm sort of okay with this since it was an honest mistake, and it will be awkward for her. Now I tell her my situation, and that it is my book. She shrugs it off and demands that I bring my book home so that she can sell it, without even acknowledging that it is mine or saying sorry. I kind of feel like not giving it to her today, alternatively writing my name in it with a permanent marker lowering the quality. Am I just being petty, or is it justified to keep my book? EM and EGM tried to kill residents of group home. Reading the post about someone else's experience in a group home setting reminded me about this. It was a lot more traumatic than it sounds, and I don't talk about it much. Sorry it got so long. Many years ago, I worked in a group home. For the privacy of all the residents, we had a set visitation room, with visitation hours by appointment only. Appointment only so that two families weren't trying to visit at the same time. It had a separate entrance, and a door that shut it off from the rest of the house. It had a half bath, a TV, cable hookup, game console, maybe 50 games, DVD player, and about 150 movies, board and card games, along with nice comfy seating and a small 4-person table. Visitors were not allowed anywhere but that room if any of the other residents were home. It didn't matter if Bill wanted to show off his new bedding set or if Jack's mom wanted to see if he needed new clothes. If the other residents were home, no. The families of 5 of the residents were fine with it. Kyle's mother and grandmother were not. They firmly believed they were within their rights to enter the rest of the house and inspect it and his housemates. He was their baby and they had rights by God. Actually, no. The residents of this home were 30 to 40-year-old men with developmental and physical disabilities. They were all actually wards of the state. The fact they were even allowed to know where he was, let alone visit, was a huge privilege. Our agency had many other homes where the families of the residents had no idea where they were and weren't allowed to see them. The families were only allowed to contact the case manager and inquire about them. Back to Kyle's mom and grandma. It was a constant battle to keep them out of the rest of the house. It got to the point that we had to have an extra staff member during their visits. They had to sit outside the connection door while the visits were going on and physically stand blocking their way when they would attempt to enter. I lost track of how many times we ended up calling the police to have them removed from the main part of the house before that happened. That's when they started calling the police on us. After the 3rd time of them calling the police to demand entrance to the rest of the house, they lost their privilege of visiting. Kyle was moved to another home where they weren't allowed to know the address. This didn't go over well, to put it nicely. They were adamant Kyle was still in our home, and they threatened us several times that we would pay for keeping their baby from them. A restraining order was granted against them, keeping them 800 feet from the house, staff, residents, and no calls to the house. It all came to a head one night when at dark 30, I was locking up the house for the night. All doors and windows had to be checked and the alarm set. Another staff was doing bedtime medicine. The other 2 were helping out with bedtime routines and getting laundry going. I kept telling the other staff I smelled smoke, like a campfire. Just faint whiffs of it. They said I was crazy. I had just walked the entire house and nothing was burning. It must be a neighbor having a small backyard fire or something, and I got a whiff while closing the windows, and it was stuck in my nose. It finally was strong enough for the others to smell. In pairs, we checked the house again. Nothing, but the smell is getting stronger. We met back in the living room and decided to go ahead and call the fire department when we realized we could see wisps of smoke in the living room. We woke the residents and had them put on shoes and jackets. The smoke in the living room was now clearly visible and starting to make its way towards the bedrooms, and it triggered the alarms, finally. Protocol was to evacuate and get the residents to the van. The living room was the exact center of the house with an open floor plan with the kitchen one side and a laundry room on the other. The bedrooms were through the living room and to the left and right, along with the 2 bathrooms, the visitors' room and our office being at opposite ends of each other. Down the hall we shuffled to our office because the van was parked to that side and the keys in the office. As we came around the corner of the house, we see the source of the smoke. Our front porch was on fire. The house was brick, which is what was preventing it from spreading outward, but it was spreading upward towards the roof. The police and fire departments arrived just as we reached the van. Fire department went to work on the house, police head towards us. We're all fine, except 4 people came running up to us. Kyle's mother and grandmother, along with 2 unknown men. The two women started screaming for Kyle, and they were here to rescue him. We had endangered him by allowing him to live in a fire trap. They suddenly realized there was no Kyle in the group and were now screaming that we had left him to burn in that house. They were suing us, they would shut us down, and have us in prison for murder. The police quickly asked if we had left someone behind, to which we answered no, we have all 6 men, but for their safety we had to get them in the van, and then we would sort this out. The police held mother and grandmother back from us, while they continued to shriek about Kyle, and we had left him to die. 2 of the staff loaded them while me and my co-worker talked to the police, starting with the fact those 2 women had a restraining order, and for his safety and ours, Kyle had been moved to a location unknown to them. They were cuffed immediately and told to pipe down. We proceeded to explain what had transpired that evening. The fire was doused quickly while we did this. One of the firemen came over to talk to the officers, and we heard him say there was preliminary evidence this fire was set deliberately. There would be a formal investigation. Kyle's mother and grandmother were arrested for violating the restraining order and suspicion of arson. The 2 men were arrested on suspicion of arson also. Results of the investigation determined clear case of arson. There was also a deliberate rigging of a device to the door leading out of the visitation room that would have been fatal to the person opening the door, and if anyone was close by, debilitating, if not fatal. The 4 were indicted on vandalism, arson, 8 counts of attempted homicide, 2 counts attempted murder. It came out they were unaware of the other side door, which saved lives. They got a plea deal and got 7 to 10 years each. This was back in early 2000s, so I don't remember what exactly the sentence was. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.